Hey all, good evening, good afternoon, good morning, wherever you are when you see this video. Thank you for joining me, Dorothea, on Through an Orthodox Christian Lens. I've got this article to share with you that just came out. It's an update on what's going on with St. Catherine's Monastery in the Sinai in Egypt. Really important information. I'm going to bring it up right now and then I will share some thoughts on it. It's very important though. So here we go. Archbishop of Sinai announces succession process amid monastery crisis. His Eminence Archbishop Damianos of Sinai announced Thursday that he will initiate succession procedures for leadership of St. Catherine's Monastery as the historic religious site faces both an existential legal threat and deep internal divisions that have split the monastic brotherhood. The 91-year-old archbishop, who has led the monastery for decades, said in a statement that the time has come for me to assume my responsibility and guarantee the succession process. The announcement comes amid a severe crisis at the 6th century monastery. An Egyptian court decision from May 28 threatens to overturn the monastery's centuries-old status, potentially converting it into a museum. This legal challenge has coincided with an internal power struggle that saw 11 monks expelled from the monastery last week. The crisis has drawn in major Orthodox patriarchates, with Constantinople expressing support for Archbishop Damianos, while the Patriarchate of Jerusalem, which holds canonical jurisdiction over St. Catherine's, has backed the expelled Brotherhood members. This is very interesting. Sad, because we have two patriarchs backing two different sides to this such a sad division. Let me just go on. On Wednesday, Patriarch Theophilus III of Jerusalem issued a letter commanding Archbishop Damianos to open the gates of the holy monastery and to undertake every necessary initiative so that all individuals who do not belong to the Sinai Brotherhood may be immediately and courteously removed. The Patriarch also summoned the Archbishop to Jerusalem to appear before an extraordinary assembly of the Holy Synod on September 8th. Archbishop Damianos dismissed the Jerusalem Patriarch's intervention as canonically at least weak and unfounded, arguing that it treats the monastery as an appendage of the Patriarchate of Jerusalem, contrary to an 1782 decree that established the monastery as autonomous, self-ruling, free, inviolable, and not subject to any patriarchal throne, he says. The Archbishop outlined several shared positions among all synodic fathers, including the 11 dissenters, particularly regarding the May court decision that he said opens the way to its desacralization and conversion into a museum. He proposed that the solution must involve a tripartite agreement between Egyptian and Greek governments and the monastery. The Archbishop praises a new Greek law, 522-4/2025, as a milestone in the monastery's struggle to secure its future and well-being, and a strong and impenetrable shield of protection for the monastery both in Greece and worldwide. In his statement, Archbishop Damianos thanks churches that supported the monastery after the May court decision, including the Patriarchate of Constantinople, the Patriarchate of Bulgaria, the Church of Greece, and the Church of Cyprus. He criticizes what he calls the painful silence of the Patriarch of Alexandria and accuses the Jerusalem Patriarchate of pursuing an imperialistic policy against the Holy Monastery of Sinai. That is just really... The way he's speaking is just so disrespectful and just not nice. That's not how they should be talking. The Archbishop also blames the Moscow Patriarchate, of course, for creating this, quote, this climate of discord and division in the Orthodox world, end quote. No, that's what Patriarch Bartholomew did by accepting and making schismatics credible and allowed to be part of this Ukrainian church or make their own church. Yeah, they were making their own church as canonical. That was the start of that problem. and warns that, quote, organizations, networks, parties, and individuals connected to Russia's attempt to dismantle Orthodoxy were exploiting the monastery's internal divisions. Well, I disagree with this archbishop. And because of the history of what I've seen happening out of Constantinople and out of Ukraine, I don't think he's right on this, but that's just how I see it. His Eminence also addresses criticism regarding a woman identified as Miss A.S., defending her against what he characterizes as misogyny, pietism, and puritanism. Wow. This appears to reference allegations made by expelled monks about Ekaterina Spiropoulou, whom they claim lived with the archbishop in Athens and improperly interfered in monastery administration. The archbishop says he has informed the Greek government of his decisions and discussed them with Constantinople and the Church of Greece. He states that succession procedures will begin immediately and must be completed quickly, but also properly, so that the Synodic Brotherhood united can focus on solving the great problem we face. So, there's his statement, his full statement. So, I have a problem with what's going on here. Because if it's under the Jerusalem Patriarch's jurisdiction, then shouldn't he be able to speak on this? Shouldn't he be able to be making the decisions to help in this crisis? But instead, they're saying, "Oh no, we don't have to listen to them because he's thinking it's a appendage of the Patriarch." The Archbishop Damianos is saying that, but that's it's saying that it's under the Patriarchate, which holds, it says right there, which holds canonical jurisdiction over St. Catherine's as back the expelled Brotherhood members. Well, that's important because you have to figure out which Patriarchate is this monastery under, because every Patriarchate, has a jurisdiction. And this one is under Patriarch Theophilus III's jurisdiction. So, I find this disturbing. The divisions between the patriarchs, they're taking the sides, what they think is right, but it is causing a lot of division. And I don't really think what Bartholomew did was right. As you can see, it caused a lot of problems in Ukraine with the canonical Ukrainian Orthodox Church, with these, again, having to deal with these schismatics that Bartholomew tried to make canonical and okay, and they aren't. And that Ukrainian church was under the Moscow Patriarchate. So the Ecumenical Patriarch Bartholomew did not have any jurisdiction to be deciding what to do with Ukrainian schismatics. That was not, he stepped over the line into another patriarch's jurisdiction, and that's why there was some enmity, unfortunately, between the Moscow Patriarch and the Ecumenical Patriarch because of this grave error, in my opinion. And so Archbishop Damianos, speaking in the way he spoke, doesn't sound like he is right in this as far as jurisdiction-wise or how things are supposed to work in that that part of the Orthodox Church. I'm not an expert. I'm just saying this is what I see, and it's concerning. Now, I have heard, I remember my priest's wife said, well, more than a decade ago, that the jurisdiction, the Greek one, I think she meant the ecumenical patriarch, that particular jurisdiction was going to fall, apostatize. As you know, there's all these problems with the clergy here. You have them arguing. We have the same thing going on in Cyprus. So it wasn't surprising to me that Cyprus is backing Damianos, the Cyprus bishop there, because they've been kind of off as well. So what is comforting to know through the prophecies is that Elder Ephraim of Arizona and Metropolitan Neophytus have mentioned the new crew after World War III, that King John is going to situate all of that, depose of the corrupt bishops, patriarchs, all clergy involved that need to be removed from their positions, and those teaching correctly the dogmas, the doctrines, and understanding of the church will be in place. And so, along with that, they'll have another ecumenical council about all the other issues that were not addressed from hundreds of years ago, that we have to deal with now in the present time. Anyway, I just wanted to share that with you. If you have any thoughts on this, please share it. Your opinion on this, that's just how I see it. It's, I don't really know how well that's going to go over. We'll see how things go, but I don't like seeing tension and division, and obviously in my church, and I'm sure the other Orthodox watching this don't like to see that either. We want to be united and following the correct teachings and understandings of how our Orthodox Church is set up to work through their rules and their, I don't know, that's the lack of a better word, but how things are supposed to work. Ecclesiastically, I think is the right word. Anyway, thanks so much for watching. Thanks so much for following my channel. If you found this informative and you would like to share it, that'd be great. Share it with others. And so that people are aware, especially the Orthodox that may not be aware of this, but anybody can that feels this is an important bit of information, just go ahead and share it. Thanks again. I hope you're having a great day, evening, morning, and until next time.